Good evening. It's Wednesday, the 13th of January, 2021. Diane Hands bringing you Book for the Day, Human Crossings, 9 stories about refugees. And the story that I've been reading to you is entitled A Treasure, which was written by Clara, olde, Heuvel. And this is where we reached in the story yesterday. Obabu was medically tested by a doctor, otherwise he couldn't legally be interviewed. When he heard his name shouted out loud, he looked up and saw an immigration employee and translator coming towards him. They introduced themselves, and the three of them went into a small room. At the beginning of the interview, personal information was asked: where he was born, the name of his parents and grandparents, their jobs, whether they were still alive, who else in his family was still alive in Nigeria, where he went to school, what occupation he had, what he had studied, where else he lived, whether he could name cities close to the town where he lived in Nigeria. The second part was about how he left Nigeria, from which bus station he departed, at what town he crossed the border, which countries he passed through, and how he got the money for this journey. They also asked why he lived such a long time in Libya, where he stayed, what he did, and what he earned. Also, they asked why he didn't stay in Libya. The questions were very thorough and direct, and after having answered one question, the other question followed straight away. He then was left in the asylum seekers building, where he saw his fellow refugees. The second and last interview by the immigration office would be a week after the first. Obabu played some soccer with the other refugees at the camp. He got to know one guy from Syria, one from Mali, another from Egypt. They tried to speak English all together and laughed while playing. After the game, they sat down to smoke a cigarette and chit-chat a bit, talk about crossing the Mediterranean, how they felt about being in the camp and being in Europe. They compared their interviews at the immigration office and how the people that were working at the immigration office were treating them. They talked about whether they were treated friendly and humanely, though never about why they left their country. The days passed quickly, and the day of the second interview came closer. A different interviewer and a different translator came to pick him up while he was waiting at the refugee building. He was asked the reason for leaving his country. He told them his story. The interviewer asked very thorough questions as if he was trying to find a loophole. She asked the question after question. She didn't stop. Why did you do this? Why didn't you do that? What do you mean? With whom were you? Where were you when this happened? Which officers from the government did you have problems with? What day was it? Do you still remember the month this happened or that happened? Do you remember the season of the year? Was this in the evening or during the daytime? Do you have evidence or any papers or proof this happened to you? And that is where we're leaving this story for today. To learn out more what happened to Obabu, join me tomorrow. Good night, Diane Hans.